Hello and welcome to Revision Tips for SIPS Level 5 Advanced Diploma in Procurement and Supply. This is Module 1, Managing Teams and Individuals, Learning Outcome 3, which is to understand and apply approaches to managing work groups or teams involved in procurement and supply. So the term team and group are often used interchangeably, but there are some differences. A group is a collection of individuals who share a common characteristic, whereas a team is a group of people who work together to achieve a common purpose. Individuals will be members of numerous groups, both socially and professionally, and each will have their own hierarchical form and leadership. A team having been brought together to achieve a particular purpose is likely to be smaller than a group, made up of between 4 and 6 individual members. Fieldman identified 4 main purposes of group norms. Define the nature of the group by expressing the central value of the group. Group norms provide members with clarity about the nature of the group they are a part of. Make behaviour predictable. Group norms simply simplify the expectations in respect of behaviour of those members and therefore improve group functioning. Avoid embarrassing situations. By outlining rules of engagement, individual members can avoid embarrassing themselves by avoiding particular situations that could upset other members of the group. And ensure group survival. The acceptance of agreed group rewards for compliance or punishment for non-compliance results in threats to group existence being resolved and tolerance of deviant behaviour that is non-threatening. Organisational structures exist in order to enable individuals and groups to understand how to manage tasks and who's responsible for what. When it comes to formal organisation structures, groups are planned and created by management. However, within the formal structure of an organisation, other groups will develop as a result of social processes, and this establishes an informal organisational structure. So formal groups are constructed and identified during the organisational design process and are usually represented in the form of an organisational chart. They are created to deliver a particular work task. Informal groups are not designed as part of the formal organisational structure. They develop as a result of group members coming together due to special interests, expertise in a particular area, a network of professional or even personal relationships, and they usually work cross-functionally. Now, individuals join teams for more than one reason than just simply a need to combine with others to get a task done. In contemporary organisations, the efforts of a number of individuals working together helps to make a broad range of experiences, knowledge and skills. And Robbins identified 4 key drivers for individuals to form a group or a team. Firstly, security. Coming together with others provides strength, reassurance and support in what can be stressful environments. Self-esteem. Being part of something bigger provides the individual with the sense of self-worth that comes from belonging and feeling valued. Power. Being part of a group increases the power that the individual is able to access, whether it's bargaining power or the ability to drive change by way of group action. And then goal achievement. This brings a group of different individuals together. The combined efforts of the team members can achieve individual, team and organisational goals. However, teams and groups offer a framework in which individuals can find 6 social provisions. So firstly, attachment, the development of emotional closeness with others. Social interaction, where you're sharing common interests and concerns with the group members. Reliable alliance is receiving tangible assistance when needed. Guidance, receiving advice of information from others. And the reassurance of worth, having competence and values recognised by other team members. And finally, the opportunity for nurturance, being relied upon by others. Now, the teamwork environment refers to the conditions in which they operate. Healthy working conditions and environments include a number of physical elements that managers need to consider. So lighting. There is good evidence of the association between lighting and work performance, and lighting affects productivity and employee well-being. Shift patterns, such as those who work nights. Open plan offices. High cubicles have a negative effect on worker satisfaction. However, lack of personal space can be damaging to both privacy and feelings of security, as well as noise affecting concentration. Monitoring, electronic performance monitoring and jobs that are constrained by high levels of structure, they can increase employee stress. And demographics. The United Nations estimates that by 2050, there will be 379 million people over 80 years old. This means that design of the physical work environment needs to take account now of the health needs of our older workers, giving consideration to physical needs, especially musculoskeletal and circulatory problems. Now, Tuckman and Jensen developed the model of team development in 1977, identifies 5 key phases of group development. So the first stage is forming. Members develop a structure and roles, and individuals are on their best behaviour. When the storming starts, there's a period of potential conflict as a result of an individual member testing the boundaries and determining preferred ways of working. Norming is where the codes of conduct and norms are accepted and group behaviour has become established and the team starts working together as a group. Performing was where group members begin to work together effectively in purposeful endeavours with a focus on performance outcomes and goal achievement. And then finally, adjourning, the period in which groups disbands. This is due to the fact that the project is completed, or maybe somebody's left voluntarily, or there's a restructure or redundancy. But this model recognises that a contemporary organisational team and groups evolve in their interactions and behaviours over time. And the management aim is to try to get the team to the performing stage as quickly as possible. This model was developed using a J-shaped curve that charts the performance impacts as a group passes through the following stages of development into a real team. So you've got the working group has no common purpose, but there's information sharing. The pseudo team operates as a team even if it doesn't perform as a team. Potential team is moving towards a common purpose and performance levels rise. Real team is a shared purpose that begins to emerge, and in groups where individual team member skills are complementary, accountability for team results begin to be shared. And then high-performing teams work together to achieve the shared goals. Individual members demonstrate commitment towards building healthy social relationships, and other group members and developing their skills to complement the team. Now, the effectiveness of the team falls as the team moves from working group to pseudo team stage, but then increases as it moves to the other phases. But team development doesn't occur within a vacuum, and managers should be aware of the external influences like organisational change that can disrupt the progress of team development or affect the team's performance. Now, Hackman and Morris developed the Inputs Process Outcomes framework. It outlines 3 components that lead to successful outcomes as a result of teams working effectively. So the team inputs are the characteristics of the team, such as the size, how long they've been together, what tasks they do, their knowledge and skills, and the team composition. You've then got the processes, which is the different ways that the team operate in order to achieve the outcomes. And team success depends not just on the individual contributions and the talents of the team, but on how those team members contribute and interact with each other. Interpersonal processes include trust, the management of conflict and cohesiveness, and it all contributes to the success of team processes. These team processes will be context specific. Therefore, what works for one team may be ineffective for another. However, there are general principles like communication, levels of conflict, team cohesiveness, etc. And then the team outcomes is evaluating the team's performance, and that's essential in understanding where the team inputs and processes are contributing to the team's effectiveness. Now, a group of individuals will not naturally develop into an effective team without planning and intervention from leadership. The characteristics of effective teams include relatively small sizes to enable cohesion, complementary roles that enable teams members to share common objectives, a common purpose that provides the team with the focus needed to achieve the goal, interdependency, collective responsibility and accountability, a sense of membership and responsibility, and effective conflict resolution. Now, a composition of the team is more than just knowledge, skills, and ability that an individual team member possesses. They bring their own individual differences, their personal attributes, and unique behaviours. Now, Belbin identified 9 roles that people naturally fit into depending on their personality and behaviour. So you've got a resource investigator. They're outgoing and enthusiastic, but they may be overly optimistic. A team worker is cooperative and a good listener, but may be indecisive and avoids arguments. A coordinator is mature and confident, but may be seen as manipulative and might be offloading their work. A plant is creative, imaginative, but they sometimes get preoccupied and ignore the small things. A specialist is a self-starter with expert knowledge, but might only contribute on a very narrow front. The monitor evaluator is strategic, level-headed, but lacks drive and is overly critical. A shaper is dynamic, works well under pressure, but could upset people quite easily. An implementer is practical. They turn ideas into action, but can be slow to respond and can be a little bit inflexible. And a completer finisher is conscientious and finds errors, but does worry unduly and doesn't like to delegate. This 5-staged ABCDE model of relationship development explains how relationships grow and improve over a period of time as individuals become close. The influential model is relevant to team dynamics because it explains the natural development of interpersonal relationships between people. So it starts firstly with the A, the acquaintance. This is where the relationship starts and you develop your first impressions. B is for build up. You engage in self-disclosure and become increasingly interdependent, and you can start to trust and care. In the C, this is the continuation. The relationship is consolidated and based on mutual commitment to a long-term relationship. Deterioration. Not all relationships deteriorate. Risk factors may lead to an imbalance of cost and reward, leading to dissatisfaction and deterioration. And then finally, E for ending. The relationship ends due to the deterioration and individuals separate. Self-managed teams are appealing to organisational operations because they provide an organisation with a number of added value benefits. The decisions are based on technical know-how, where lots of decisions require expertise and specialisms in particular areas, and making the wrong decision could have a negative effect on the outcome. Team processes. By putting self-managed teams at the centre of decision-making that affects their task objectives, organisations can build individual commitment to achieve the task to maximise collaboration. Everyone is a leader. Depending on the task in hand, different members can step up to a leadership role with the approval of the other team members. And information flow tends to speed up as self-managed teams become the self-managed teams because the potential barriers have been removed. Virtual teams, such as remote working, that's increased as advances in technology such as cloud, e-sharing, messages, offline meetings have transformed the workplace. You are able to work closely together on task objectives despite being separated geographically and by time zones. You're able to share the expertise, knowledge, specialist skills and capabilities from across the organisation by using virtual teams and systems. Can lead to greater levels of satisfaction, idea generation and customer service. And enables organisations to utilise their workforce worldwide so they can operate around the clock, creating a capacity to respond to customers wherever they are. But the drawbacks to remote working can lead to poor performance management, information exchange insecurity, timeliness issues caused by operating across different time zones, and interpersonal issues such as group mistrust, miscommunication, lack of cohesiveness, and detachment from the team roles. But Kirkman identified 4 key research themes in virtual team literature. So this is what you can see on the screen. You've got the effects of communication, medium, and technology. So high anonymity and computer mediated communication led to conformity to group social norms, and no social loafing was evident in monitored groups. Relational demography, i.e. the cultural values and country of origin. So you end up with these heterogeneous virtual teams with different organisational and cultural backgrounds, resulting in expectation mismatches, demotivation, dissatisfaction, and low performance. Individual differences such as external, conservative, and global cognitive style characteristics that result in strong commitment to virtual teams. And task type characteristics where individuals self-reported as following teamwork rules, positive outcomes such as trust, tasks, and social interactions, and task success were reported. Now, stakeholders, this is anyone in a group that has an interest in the operations of your organisation or the outcome of an activity. They can have a significant impact on the performance and stability of the strategic plans of the procurement and supply function. The development of the procurement and supply function will have been shaped by the level of understanding that managers have regarded their key stakeholders. So managers of the procurement and supply function need to build collaborative relationships in order to enhance stakeholder engagement. And this requires an integrated and proactive approach to ensure that stakeholder support is gained and sustained. So the Mendelow's matrix helps us to identify the impact and influence that different stakeholders have in order to determine what threat or support the stakeholders are to the procurement and supply agenda. And this is going to be based on the power and interest they have. So you can see here, high power, high interest are your key players. You need to manage them closely, whereas minimal effort for those that are low, low. Now, Rogers contended the following. He said individuals are motivated to self-actualize and will seek out personal development and growth opportunities to achieve their potential if the conditions are right. And if the organizational group environment is destructive, negative or constraining, then the individuals will experience a poor self-concept and feel devalued, leading to a state of incongruence. Self-actualization occurs when an individual is in a state of congruence. If there is an inconsistency between the individual's self-image and their ideal self, then their self-esteem will be affected. However, if there is consistency between the self and role experience, then an individual will be in a state of congruence. So role congruence is when the perception of the role or the responsibility and position within the team is aligned to the operation of the role in the organizational setting. And it can be caused by an imbalance in the respect given to the authority of the role, level of responsibility and autonomy, and the nature of the tasks. This can lead to conflict. The concept of the role within a group has an influence on group processes and behaviour, and therefore on team performance and levels of cooperation. Line managers need to communicate role expectations clearly for their team members, or they may experience performance issues. If team members find the expectations too low, they will experience feelings of underutilisation. If it's too much, then the individual will suffer from role overload, leading to tension and dissatisfaction. Now, Koza suggested that if a team experiences external conflict within other groups or outgroups, then this can increase a group cohesion. But Stein qualified this by stating that external conflict does increase internal cohesion under certain conditions. And these are that there is a threat, a real or perceived threat as a result of external conflict. It involves everybody. The conflict affects the entire team, each member feeling equally discriminated against. And there is a solution. The team efforts will result in the team finding a solution to the threat. There was some pre-existing cohesion, so the group is well established and somewhat cohesive prior to the threat. And the leader has authority to enforce group cohesion even if all members don't feel threatened. And finally, group needs are met. They must not only be that the group is able to deal with external conflict, but the members must be provided with support and feel comforted by group cohesion. Now, conflict is often perceived negatively with visions of heated arguments, tension and discord. However, conflict is simply a serious disagreement or agreement. It doesn't have to be angry or uncivil. And benefits of addressing areas of incompatibility within a team and between individuals can be significant. Now, Pinkley identified 3 distinct conflict frames that individuals use to examine conflict. So dimension 1 is the relationship versus the task. This distinguishes between individuals who focus on the real relational aspects of conflict and those who see it as separate from relationship problems. Dimension 2 is emotional versus intellectual. This differentiates between those who focus on feelings such as anger and those who focus on the reasons behind the actions or the behaviours. Dimension 3 is the compromise versus the win. Separate those who focus on conflict as something that benefits everyone and those with a win orientation who are focused on making progress regardless of costs to the other party. Now, the Thomas-Kilmann model is designed to measure a person's behaviour in conflict situations. You can see on the left the assertiveness and the cooperativeness at the bottom. So competing is assertive but uncooperative. So an individual pursues their own concerns at the expense of others. Accommodating is unassertive but cooperative, the complete opposite of competing. So when you're accommodating, the individual neglects their own concerns to satisfy the concerns of others. Avoiding is unassertive and uncooperative. The person neither pursues their own concerns nor those of others, essentially sweeping things under the carpet. Collaborating is both assertive and cooperative, the complete opposite from avoiding. Collaborating involves an attempt to work with others to find some solution that fully satisfies their concerns. And compromise is moderate in both assertiveness and cooperativeness. The objective is to find some middle ground, something that's mutually acceptable, but it only partly satisfies both parties. So finally, we're going to look at other factors that contribute to the development of effective groups. So an effective group would have a common goal, very clear team roles and responsibilities, and clear deadlines that are met. There should be really good behaviour behind meeting deadlines. There'll be clear reporting and accountability lines, support from their colleagues, a sense of purpose and motivation, and the technology that enables them to work together. Thank you for watching.